Good morning. I'm Squire Avarice. This is going to be the intro to sword and board class. Been fighting for a number of years. I'm a sword and board main. The big goal of this class is to review the fundamentals, kind of build up the structure in what you need to start doing those more fancy moves, get better. We'll be going over different shield types, basic shots, kind of how to move your feet, and the most important thing is going to be your basic home guard, which is essentially whenever you do an action, where you're coming back to keep yourself safe so you live longer. This is Serva. If you want to introduce yourself.
Name's Cervantes. Been fighting for about 12 years now. Spent the first 7 of them in Florida, so I'm pretty familiar with everyone here. I actually taught him how to fight, so it's kind of fun to watch him teach people.
As we get started, if we want to just go down the line, if you want to introduce yourself and give us kind of what you're expecting from today, what you're hoping to learn. Hopefully, maybe if there's something that I don't have added, that'll give me a better idea of what to go for.
I'm Stellar, mainly North, fighting for 7 years. I'm here to see what's going on. I'd always like to get better at surfboard. My favorite is fucking style. More perspective.
Danny, I've been doing foam of some variety for over 12 years. I haven't done a whole lot of actual, within foam community, sword and board teaching, a couple different sources for teaching and stuff like that. But I want to see more about this and really actually look what's done here, especially.
Awesome.
Dexter, like I said, I've been fighting on and off for 12 years. Again, still bad. But I don't know, I'm tired of being bad.
The best motivator, really.
Rowan, been fighting for about 2 years. I was one of the better people with sword and board on my home field, but I realized I kept getting lost into the same cycle of doing the same pattern, and so I switched to red because I learned that pattern. But I still really like sword and board, so my hope here is to have that refresher so that I can proceed with this new ways that are the same pattern that I'm doing.
Awesome.
I'm Brent Silverson. I've been doing this about 2.5 years now. I did sword and board primarily for the first year of that. It was great. I traded it out for the red, and now I'm using this to work on it.
I've been fighting for 4 years.
Well, welcome.
That's mindset.
Alright, I'm Kay. I came from Watts. I'm trying to learn how to do things the right way and not die.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I'm Dirty Dan, Kodos. Been fighting about 10 years. I'd like to be a better sword boarder, and I want to emulate Cervantes.
I'm Blade Master Squire Fox. I've been doing red primary for 11 years, and this is my sword and board year. So trying to get better and learning sword and board and branch out and do better.
Awesome. Maybe you want to chip in? You don't have to.
I'm Pringle. I've been doing the sport for 2 years. I've been a red main throughout the whole thing, but I want to get better at the basics of pretty much every other kit. So that way, my weapon breaks, I'm not just standing there on the sideline of the field.
Just buy more reds.
You're right. Oh, yeah. I got a card right there.
I'm Apprentice Sir Damon. I'm Squire Avarice's knight. I did sword and board starting in 08. Switched over to red main around 2019.
So
I dabble back and forth. What?
You're so old.
I'm Apprentice Ash. I've been fighting for about 3 years. I just like learning new things.
Awesome. All right. So the first thing we're going to go over is the different kinds of shields and the different, pros and cons. There's a nice variety within the crowd, which is nice. Each one of you is going to have a little bit of different methods and ways that you're going to use your shield based on the size and the shape. So we'll cover those a little bit. The most common one you're going to find is going to be a round shield. I believe the most there. I think when you hit around the 6 foot mark, plus or minus a few inches, you should probably be bumping up to a 30 inch. 27 works even for tall people. The other major shield you run into is a heater, which is this example here. They're a bigger shield. They're harder to work around depending on your size. Like if I was a smaller person, it might be harder for me to work around the size of it, which is why a lot of people prefer the rounds if you don't have the corners getting in the way. But the big benefits of giving me a pass across. So with a heater, there's corners. So this corner here protects his shoulder, and then this protrusion helps protect his hip for these outside shots. The exchange is that on these flat edges here, it's easier to get around. So when I go to fight Serva, I'm not throwing straight to the shoulder, I'm throwing around his flat edge here. Looks like everyone's got rounds, so we can predominantly cover rounds. The goal in a shield is to have as much passive defense as possible and to believe in it. You don't need to do a ton of effort and focus. You want it to be solid, steady, and then know that it's going to be there to protect you throughout your fight. So the big goal is going to be hide your shoulder here, and then the board is to defend this split half of your body and the sword on the other. So if you give me a guard, when I come across the Serva, he's not going to move his shield all the way over to try and block my sword. His sword hand covers this side, and the shield covers this side. Does that make sense? So I've got a couple of straps in the crowd, and I've got some smaller shields. There's two main kinds of shields. There's punch, which has the handle in the middle. It has the added benefit of when I lose an arm, it's really easy to drop the shield and swap hands. Straps have a harder time with that, so usually you're kind of stuck in the position of having to put the sword in the hand with the shield still attached. It is clunkier, and it's hard, but with straps, there's two major kinds: the low strap on the bottom, and then the center style strap, which I believe you got a center. Any other straps here? Low. So a low has the added benefit that when you're strapped, it covers your shoulder a lot more. When you're on a low strap, your arm kind of sits lower, and when you flinch and you brace, it naturally pulls the shield up to cover your shoulder. On a mid strap, you have to be a little bit more conscious of where you're holding your board. We can teach you a trick here and a few on how to position the board. So everybody who's got a board wants to go ahead and kind of give me an idea of your passive guard. Like this, like this. Those are some pretty good guards. Heck yeah, awesome. Okay, so with my punch users, and this goes similarly for strap, but it's a little bit different. The best piece of advice I got, and I love this, is that your hand stays where it is. It moves in a 6-inch square. Just these 6 inches. Everything past this point, you want to be doing with your feet. So when Serva steps past me in a direction, in the beginning I've got my hand, but if he goes too far, I need to step with him to stay within the fight. Straps are the same thing, but instead of it being, this 6-inch square, it's kind of, does this make sense? Awesome. One of the tricks too with straps that's really nice is when you find your guard and you've got this shoulder covered. In an engagement, we're always moving our shields, trying to find the angles, and it's hard to remember to bring your shield back to home. And so with a strap, you can grab your shirt, and that will keep you, like, as a reminder of like, oh, I need to move my feet. I can't move the shield. So you take the step. For punches, we don't have that benefit. You have to learn where to keep your board and how to get back to it each time. So you get the added bonus of, you lose an arm, you can stay offensive more than a strap. In exchange, you have to learn the passive defense better. So for my smaller shields, I'm going to point out you and then both of these orange shields. You want to come off body when you're guarding. For my full size, usually you can kind of plant your elbow into the side and then have a firm guard. Can everyone see that? I'm just 90 degrees on my elbow. That's where I'm holding my shield. The smaller your shield is, the more off your body you want to be. Creates like an angle. Yeah, we'll use you. The further off he is, the less of his body I see, and it makes it harder for me to get there. because I now have to work so much harder to get around the shield. So for my people with the smaller shield, consider being a bit further off. You had a good example with guard 2 on how to use a small shield. We'll kind of move into basic guards. The two major guards that you're going to run into are an A-frame, which is going to be your sword, kind of at a slant. Its big job is to cover the high cross, this diagonal shot. And so on a full-size board, you'll see boards flat in front, and it's the sword of this A-frame angle covering that shoulder. On a smaller shield, we kind of position the board a little bit slanted, and so the A-frame is both forward and this diagonal, if that makes sense. If you want to give me an example to show the crowd here, exactly this slant here helps him hide more of his body and
bring
more
it
of
to the
that
camera?
push off to change the...
Can you bring it over to the camera?
Oh yeah, if you want to come up here. So if you see, he's further off of his body with the shield, so he hides more, and he's got a nice frame where no matter which side I go to, it's going into one of the guards. Low guard, sorry, took me a second there. Any of you guys have seen any like fighting videos? One of the common strategies right now is to attack underneath the hand here into this quadrant, right below where the sword positions. And so on a higher level fighter, the A-frame leaves this little pouch open, the sword side hip. And so you'll see some fighters take this A-frame, lower their hand. It's to create a new guard here, to be more of a passive block. In an A-frame, your arm is already preloaded to throw a shot. When you're lower, you have to kind of load a little bit more before you throw. So it is more defensive, but you need to be more conscious of how you're engaging so you can create that moment to load up and throw your shot. The other big thing to kind of pair with this 6-inch of movement rule is how we're going to walk and step within an engagement, so that way we can let our guard be passive. If you want to give me a guard, the big rule is whatever your lead foot is, you want to point it at their board, and then as they step, you want to keep pointing your foot. So if you want to go direction, so I step, I'm pointing my foot, then step, point my foot. You keep following their board as they step. So if you guys want to pair up for a moment, and we'll have each of you literally just practice taking a step, and you follow them.
I don't throw a lot of high crosses, so like doing an but, you know, if you're fighting someone like Bell doesn't do it as bad anymore.
Everyone get an idea of how to take this step?
Yeah, honestly, think of that. To be honest,
like one of those things I have to remind myself every time I get like flashed at by like a fast fighter. It's like, oh no, I can't. I gotta follow it. I gotta follow it.
All right. Everybody had a chance to practice and.
That's the name of the game.
Yeah.
I don't know how to move my hand.
All right, how did that feel? Did that make some sense?
Yeah.
One of the biggest issues in fighting is we get overwhelmed. In an engagement, the person will do some sort of an action that you're not ready for. You might flinch, you might tense up. That's what your opponent's looking for to get an advantage on you. And one of the biggest culprits is that we twist our hips. So when the person goes like, oh, they're passing you, the fastest way to be facing them with your shield is to just twist these hips. When you do it, when I twist, the servant can keep walking past me. I can't follow him forever. So pointing our toes at the board and stepping with them prevents them from gaining that advantage on you. Freezing up entirely, you can't necessarily 100% fix with just following the board. If you're ever uncomfortable, just step backwards. You know, if he comes at me too aggressively or whatever, and it's like, oh, I don't know what to do, just get out. Reset the fight. It'll give you a moment of breather. You can reset, make a new game plan.
Learning when to disengage is so important. Anytime I see something I don't recognize, someone throws a shot that I didn't understand how they threw it, I'm instantly dropping back for a second and kind of like reanalyzing the situation.
Oh, yeah.
And hopefully I catch it the second time, but if I don't, I'll disengage again. You can do it as many times as you need to.
Oh, yeah.
It's not a loss until you're dead, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Well said. So the next thing we're going to move on to is our basic shots. I mentioned earlier the sword side hip. I won't cover this one so much, just because it is a very wonky and weird technique to get to. Afterwards, I'll stick around if anyone wants to practice shot form. We can kind of go over it, including the sword side hip. But your major culprits, the shots that you're going to interact with, is going to be a shoulder wrap, which is this shot over the board side shoulder. The high cross, which is the same thing mirrored to the sword side. Is your high cross. You have a hip wrap, which is again trying to sneak under this corner to get to his butt. And then the last major one is going to be a dark side, which is you exchange the sword underneath the board, and you come in. This shot, this last one, is designed to counter a high cross. So when someone goes to high cross me, I'm hitting this open fleshy side here. So what?
You calling me fat?
So for wraps are interesting. We have two kinds of shots if you're going to be a guard. So chops are just straight flat shots, and a wrap is designed to help you get around a shield to get to behind it. So the way we throw a wrap, instead of going straight to your target, you go at a diagonal, and then you take your thumbs up position and you turn it thumbs down. It's the most easy way to explain it. So like if you give me a guard, instead of me going, I'm coming here, I'm gonna go diagonal, and then see my thumb up, I'm turning it down. Just makes sense. You can use the weight of your sword to do a lot of the work. You don't necessarily have to force it there jaggedly. You can kind of treat it like throwing a baseball. A loose arm, let the sword weight kind of carry itself there. Does that make sense? I'm going to have everyone pair up again to kind of go back and forth, and I'll walk around and I will position your arm to kind of give you this idea of the diagonal in which you're trying to throw. Don't beat each other up too hard, but if you want to go around.
So, am I even going to get close because of the heater, or is this just a shot play? Yeah, okay.
If you take it
Yeah, that's a tough shoulder wrap around. There's like
okay, so
80
go
clearance.
Over my shield.
Gotta go wider for the angle.
I got it. So I'll
Like your shield's been progressively higher and higher.
No, I'm just focusing on getting it done.
Your shield has like went from like here to like here. I'm like, this is really funny to watch.
My body's adapting to the rep. Eventually, I'll just be.
That I didn't. I feel like that would kill someone for the ice.
Delay. High cross. My sword.
He's vulnerable.
When I started fighting, Watts was still pretty big, and I saw some comically large weapons, so I totally get it.
And mine's not like comically large, it's just comically.
And then Ash has the same.
It was like we were in Japan, so it was a wide hell of a thing. It was like
He took the measurements from mine, right? It should be the same.
yeah.
But they're strapped in like that.
This is up higher.
Mine's higher.
I want mine higher.
I'm literally not doing it to help you.
Yeah.
All that jokes at you. That's the thing. You don't.
But you can hit the ground.
Because even for mine, it's like.
Think of
Like if I really wanted to get another relaxation, is to think of like your arm as a whip, and the sword is like the tip of the whip. So arm is loosey goosey. Yeah, but like that is go around the shield.
Yeah, like they gotta pick a lane. They're just spread out.
I'm not sure. Understands fucking. Well, it's just like
that is one of those things that sometimes you get like stuck up where they're throwing crap and they're just twisting into the same line when really your shot is down, up, and around. It's going like this. It's almost right. Not ice, so you just get to this.
These were supposed to be plastic ones. The silver color, so I could just like this it on. I try to use
No one expects this.
yeah, that was supposed to be just, but I can't find it. Which is weird. They got different cars all over the place.
Yeah, but like, it's
It sounds stupid, but I really think that's what's happening.
The way to get around it is as long as you do your hand over the pommel past the board, you're going to get a better shot at it.
They're a weird combo.
Alright, I'm going to run everybody.
High fantasy and kind of western.
Back shield.
my back shield. This is my front shield.
My back shield is my front shield, my side shield.
Yeah, my right shield, my left shield, my front shield, my back shield, my other front shield.
That's what I'm going to work with. It's hot right now, but I'm hoping that.
Oh, yeah, he's banned.
Fox, imagine there was like some loophole in the rules where it's like, as long as I switch the back shield position, like the damage changes.
No.
That'd be really like, aha, damage reset, baby.
Oh no, the back shield has been reclassified as front shield. It's at full health again. Oh, now I put it back to front shield. All right, now it's changed states.
I've been fucking around with like, oh, front shield Florentine.
This isn't like Flicker in Magic. It doesn't
It's exactly,
become a new
it's
shield.
exactly like Flicker if you can pull it off.
All right. I'm gonna have everyone round back up.
Yeah, I think you should look into it.
Yep.
I think you have a lot of fun with it.
Nice and oiled.
You guys in the back? Had a good chance to test it out?
The sound of wax is sound of wax.
All right. Did everyone feel more comfortable throwing around? Does the thumb down method make some sense now that you've had a chance to kind of practice it? I have us do that one first because we're going to use the same method for the other shots. I'm going to give you a guard. The hip wrap is the exact same thing. It's just you're throwing more of a flat shot instead of this diagonal. A lot of people make the mistake of throwing and they just throw into a leg. If you want to throw it higher than you think, I almost tell people to aim for the elbow on the outside here, and then that's how you get around. The big trick to being successful in increasing the number of kills you're going to get with your wrap shots is going to be put your pommel past the edge of their shield. So for a shoulder wrap, if I can get my sword up, I'm getting his back. Same thing for the hip. I'm going to, if I have to step, maybe lunge deeper, extend up my arm, and once I get the pommel past, I throw this wrap. Does that make sense? So the hip wrap is one of the most common shots. A lot of people start out, you're used to chopping at legs or swinging at legs, so it's a nice natural progression. Unfortunately, it's probably your lowest success rate shot in your arsenal. Most people aren't heavily blocking it. We cover more of the torso on the higher end, but people are more and more used to backing up out of the shot and pulling their hip away from you, just because so many people do hack at legs. But it is a nice shot to kind of break it up. You know, when you're in exchange, you're like, oh, he knows that I'm going to keep doing the same things. I'm going for it. If that makes sense. The high cross is the same method, where I'm just turning my thumb over to get there. The difference is instead of this diagonal, I'm coming to this diagonal on the opposing side. And again, if my pommel crosses this board edge, kind of towards his hand, I'm getting around to this arm, or I'm getting to the shoulder or the back. Does that make sense? High crosses are the most common shot. You run into them a bunch. So in all of these shots, the goal is to do whatever your action is. Like I throw my shot, you want to come home to that A-frame. So when he high crosses me back, he goes, oh, it goes into my sword. The dark side, which is being clunky, and we are going to practice it here in a second. This under move is more of a chop, but you can kind of do the same trick with your thumb. It'll just be backwards. So instead of turning over, you're turning over. I know this feels clunky and weird, but what you're doing, sword comes down, sword comes over, and then we move hand over, flat chop. It'll be easier for the smaller shields here. For some of my bigger shields, it might be a bit harder. But I'm going to have you pair up in a second. We'll walk around and I'll show everyone the whole goal. But if you ever see somebody go underneath their shield, you know, to do this dark side, this is your hip wrap moment. You see how all of his body's up in the air? So when he goes under, I step in and I'm taking this shot. What's up? So yes, when you go to do it, instead of moving the board over like this, you table a bit more. I tend to throw it from a bit further range on a strap, and I do it as a jab. And then if I want to use it for the kill, like if they're over-committing and giving me too many high crosses in a row, I use my feet to get there. So I might be out here, you know, just checking him, saying like, stay away from me. And then if he commits and he comes in, then I'm stepping around him. Does that make sense? I'm not gonna have to come over and kind of show you you project your arm out more when you table. It's not just yeah. All right, I'll have you guys grab partners again. We'll walk around and kind of give everyone a chance to practice this one. I know it's funky.
I remember my dark side. There was a lot of air stars.
Oh yeah, let me get this.
Out of my body.
If I turn back everything, I'm gonna hit myself. That break on your own.
Because if you try to do it all arm, it's kind of awkward and slow. But as soon as you like rotate your hips into it, it's a lot more vicious. Because you rotate this way on this swing, and then you smash it back on the follow through. Yeah.
Yeah, but I can really sell that shoulder sometimes. That's when you step into it. Yeah, that's fair. Nice workout. I like it. Yeah, it's a good mechanic. I'm not trying to defend it. It's still a solid door. Yeah. Yeah. Do you want me to? You can if you can do it safely. Like, you can throw real shots as feints as long as you can do it safely. The only problem is if you throw it and then get caught out. Because one of the differences between those two ways of doing it is if I'm throwing a feint, I'm not hitting super hard, so if someone reads it, I can either disengage or block and change what I'm doing. Whereas if I throw that shot, if it doesn't land, I have to move a lot faster to get out of the way.
As the low guard. No, that and lower.
Actually, that's one of my new favorite combos is to fucking tag that shield and draw the top this way. And the reason why is because when I hit that shield, people think I'm going for that shoulder, and they throw the high cross to the arm. So I basically, because I know that they're going to try to counter me in this quadrant. Yeah, it's a little bit harder, but yeah. It's like that's again like with a shield like yours, it's going to be kind of limited, but the safest way to do it is the very edge. Like, I wouldn't check any position past like this one. Like, very, very shallow. You want to hit it from a safe distance so that if someone tries to counter this shoulder, you can still beat them back.
So what y'all doing is more of a money. So if you gotta.
Good.
So Just right now, we just want to get the basic parameters. Because, like, I love dark side. It's like one of my bread and butter. But to really sell the dark side, you have to do fades and you also have to do certain footwork. But for now, as we're talking about it, you your A-frame up. What you want to do is you want to move your shield over. Face out all the way over.
We're learning.
Yeah, it's really a harmless strap. So, like, I try to strap a lot, and it takes away a lot of the opposite body shots. Strap. So with the strap, you really want to table it more. So push out, table it. So when you're going, so like with my dark side, so when I'm guarding high cross, when you fight a lot of people, you notice that they're trying to arm punch. They're trying to arm punch. When you come up and then come under, you're going to go with your arm. The arm punch. When you table it out, and what you want to do is you want to, so you can come up and go like that. So you really, with the dark side, it's more of just like, in a way to think about it, it's like, so you have a flow and you go, so you just have your shield up, rip that back. But you want to guard against a high cross. So you should come up like this. So you get them to take the shield over. They should go this way. The arm is perfect. Trying to defend that high cross while going over.
And it's not like thing when it's like close and rip that arm.
Now, when you get better at it, you can do a lot of things. So, like, I like to come up, flip up inside out. There's like a bunch of different other things you can do. It's a bare basic.
Every single time, just one. It's like you and me both in the same line. So you see just like this poor guy with the same shield. Get away!
I want to throw it so bad. Like I'm saying. That makes sense.
Two people do that, and then they just get stunned. And then suddenly it's just.
I have the max door. Well, no, you do it this way.
Oh, do it the circle way? Yeah. Sad. Just try that. Oh my god. Oh, okay. Just the poor guy. Jaws of death. Just like, oh hi buddy. This is my first event. Oh boy! We should both do the box corner onto the bottom of the shield Where you going? Where are you going? And then it's when we jumped out of nowhere.
All right. Did everyone have a good opportunity to practice? Okay, so in just a moment, I'm going to open up the floor to questions and go from there. Just as a small mini review, basic idea, shield, Okay. Sit nice and firm. Little movement. A lot of footwork. Right? With our foot pointed at the board, smaller with our opponent. Then you have the basic attacks. Combos are just combinations of those. You know, like shoulder wrap, high cross, shoulder wrap.
Avarice goes quickly.
Oh, sorry.
You're good.
Any questions? No? What's up?
Do you have any other tips for specifically using strap shield?
So strap shield is going to be more and more about footwork. So you were speaking earlier about how you're a big fish in a small pond. Like you fall into the same patterns, you know how to beat the people that you locally practice with. Give yourself challenges. So like if Service my person I'm going to fly with and I know how to beat him 100%, today's goal, I'm taking 3 or 4 steps before I throw my first shot. So, you know, I'm stepping in, I'm blocking shots, I'm still stepping. How am I finding that angle? And then finally, and it's doing little things like that to give you a chance to like train your brain so that it becomes muscle memory.
Practicing individual shots at like practice is also a good thing. Sometimes there'll be days where I'm like, you know, my shoulder wrap has felt off, so let me spend the day trying to land that shoulder wrap more than anything, just to kind of sharpen it and maybe figure out what I'm doing wrong.
So,
Do you have to have a friend or Ellen?
no, not at all. So, for those who don't know what pelling is essentially practicing on a dummy. Sometimes we use like those punching bags that look like people, the bobs, an actual punching bag, really that you can kind of like make contact on. You don't need a human. The difference is like with a pedal, we'll forget to practice footwork at the same time. It's easier to practice your footwork when you're fighting an opponent, or even just saying like, hey, sir, give me a few minutes, I want to practice this step. And then I'm like, oh, my almost not getting past that board edge. I need a better step. Like, you know, now I've got it. So when you're using your pedal, just be conscious of footwork. You don't have to go fast. You don't have to be super explosive. You can take all the time in the world. Like, this is my first step. I'm now, boom, second step.
Don't cross your feet.
Yeah.
Don't do this number. Play a full contact game. And if you cross your feet within like 3 feet of me, there's a chance that you're gonna be on the ground. Like if I see someone cross their feet really close to me, I'm gonna give a little shove because you're completely off balance and you're just gonna go right over. Besides that, I would say I personally try to keep my weight pretty evenly distributed. That way, if I need to dash forward, I can. If I need to dash back, I can. I don't like to be too on my toes because, again, it's a balance thing. If I'm up here and someone runs up and checks me and can't resist as well. And I also like to slide with my steps. I'm not taking like high steps. It's all very low profile, quick.
Especially early on in fighting, what I would find is like I'm doing an engagement, oh no, I'm panicking, I'm gonna back out, but I was only taking 1 step. So like part of those today I'm gonna do this practice. I just started increasing the number of steps. Today's goal, I'm taking 2 back steps. On my engagement, I'm taking 2 front steps. And I've just increased it so that now whenever I'm like in a panic moment, instead of me going, I'm gonna stick here, my feet are planted, or I get all tossed up, I'm like, just keep moving, just keep stepping, just keep stepping. So that can help. Any other thoughts? So because of the board, it's kind of hard to find stab. The 2 most common, if you give me a guard, is going to be just over, here we call this a pocket stab, and then you can see this fleshy part, the close right hip. And that one tends to be like an under motion, or more like exaggerated motion. They're low percentage shots, and they're more stylish than they are practical. I don't throw them a ton. If anything, I use them as a be scared of this. Like I'll look at something and go, I'm coming. It's really just load my arm to throw the next shot. Yeah, exactly.
Now thrusts against reds and great weapons is a different story altogether. I think thrusts are one of the most effective ways to kill a red. Because they're gonna be trying to get their whole sword in front of the arc of your swing. They can't do that if it's just a bullet straight forward.
Oh, that's right.
Now, It's all good. So I tend to throw a lot of stabs against like pro fighters.
Yeah, the guard. So the biggest one, some people do active movement when they're throwing. I find it very hard to do two actions at once. So when a player steps into me too closely, if you want to step in, sometimes I just pin the shield, or I'll step in too. And if this shield block, I know he can't move it, so I have all day to get around it.
Now, I prefer to manipulate shields a little bit more, but I have longer arms and a taller shield. So my go-to manipulation is typically going to be targeting this very small sliver from a safe distance. So you're not having to like completely throw someone's shield out. You just have to fold it just enough that that wrap breaks through.
Any more?
I brought a red if you need to do a demo on that.
I think we're all right. Well, what's up? Don't be scared. Yeah. For my people with the smaller shields, don't engage reds. They're gonna chomp you alive. But if you have a bigger shield, if you got two strikes before it breaks, right? Stay outside of range, and then don't half step in and go, oh, I don't want to do that, because they'll get one free shot on your board. Make the choice. So I'm going in, block one, keep going in, and you throw hip wraps. You're throwing this outside, low shot, 9 out of 10 times. You're coming in, you're blocking out the stick, and you just way out. You know? Does that make sense? So he's a right-handed player here.
What is he?
If you ever see the shoulder shield,
What is he?
this shoulder as well.
Over here if you want to bring your gear.
So when you come in,
Okay.
I'm trying to cover this red. This whole meaty section is what I want. And you just keep going. Just step, keep throwing it.
Once you get past like this point, all I can really do is try to guard, and it's really difficult.
Any other questions? All right, well, thank you everyone for coming. I'll hang out here for a little bit longer if anyone has any questions or wants to practice shots or anything like that. Any of those sort of hip shots,